Greetings. And greetings from Finn. Greetings from Finn as well. I had a request from a viewer to share the ways that my family and I celebrate Yule. And, just generally what kind of things do we do, ritual do we do, what we do. I think she was looking for some ideas. So I think I know what she meant. She wanted to hear specifically about Yule, but I think so many of you are kind of in the same position as I am, where the people around you are not all just like you. You have maybe friends or family members who are Christian or Jewish or atheist or agnostic or whatever, and may celebrate Hanukkah or may celebrate Christmas or, and you have to somehow fit that into your celebration if you're a pagan as a Yule. Now, I want to say up front, this is what it is in the case in my house, that my family is Christian. We were all Christians. I'm still technically a Catholic, as the rest of my family is. Even our, with the exception of one son-in-law, everybody was, all of the next generation was all raised Catholic. We all used to be very involved of course, in the church. And we really are not anymore. Now, my children are not pagan. They understand that their dad and I are, and they accept that because we raised really fantastic kids. But we still, in our family, celebrate, as a family, our celebration is a Christmas celebration. So, I have friends as well who are of all religions and faiths, and we always celebrate with them too. We celebrate during the season. And I do have to say, the war going on Facebook is driving me a little bit nuts with, Jesus is the reason for the season versus the Christians stealing the pagan rituals and trying to make them their own. And, that's just a lot of crap. It's crap. It's true on both sides. There's truth on both sides. But I think we need to differentiate between Yule and Christmas. They're not the same thing, any more than Christmas and Hanukkah are the same thing, even more than Hanukkah and, Kwanzaa are the same thing. Things happen during this time of the year. A lot of major religions and groups of people have different kinds of celebrations. A lot of them share certain traditions. That's the season. That's the holiday season. Within the holiday season, there is Christmas, which has everything to do with Christ, and there is Yule, which does not. We shouldn't try to smash them together and call them the same thing, but it's very acceptable to celebrate both. That is what my family does, and I'm sure that's what a lot of your families do. I know there's a lot of you that have strong Christian backgrounds who still celebrate Christmas and want to know that that's okay. It's absolutely okay. But it's not really okay, in my opinion, to try to call them the same thing. They're not. They're really not the same thing. Yes, the church put Christmas in the calendar at the same time as the pagans were celebrating Yule. I think that's pretty much established as the truth. And yes, some of the similarities are the same, but Christians are celebrating the birth of Christ. That's what they're celebrating. Some people celebrate Christmas, which is like time to give gifts, and that's perfectly okay too. But they're celebrating Christmas. They're not celebrating Yule. They're celebrating Christmas. Now, in my life, I've got this conglomeration of all kinds of people around me. Plus, I have, included in that, I have a hobby of medieval enthusiasts who are very interested in medieval Christmas and medieval Yule, which we know is two different things. In the medieval world, Yule was actually the religious celebration when it became the church during the time when the pagans were converting into becoming Christians during that time. When there became the two holidays, the Christmas was actually, Yule was actually taken as the religious time. The party time to celebrate was actually 12th night with the Epiphany. That was historically the way the church does. Okay. Now in our modern historical celebration, we're celebrating, of course, people from hundreds and hundreds of years all over Western Europe and beyond in this hobby that we play with, this group that we play with. And so we have generically adapted some things, some celebrations, where we are sort of blurring Yule and Christmas, that line, because we're a nonprofit organization and we cannot endorse any one religion or any one thing like that, or we lose our nonprofit status. So of course we have to be very generic about it. We know what was done, but it ended up that Yule time ends up to be a time like the local celebrations. People get together with their local groups, and it's like an office party with funny clothes. And then at 12th night, it is a kingdom celebration where people come from all around areas of the kingdom, all around the areas of, in our case, Southern California, Hawaii, Las Vegas, and celebrate in a more formal situation. And that is really a big, major celebrating party. But anyway, I sort of digress there. But I wanted to say that because I have so many ways of celebrating during the season, and traditions that I do during the season, I thought I would make it easy. And I would divide up videos into small, like little segments. So if you're interested in it all, you can watch all of them. If you're only interested in the part about Yule, I'll say this is really about Yule. If you're interested in, anything else I have to say, I'll try to be as clear as I can in the description on the video. Okay. I have some notes in front of me just to make sure that I don't forget what I want to say. I'm also saying, since I'm filming this in little segments, I apologize now if it doesn't seem to make sense what I'm saying. Like I might get them out of order, or it might sound like I'm repeating myself. I don't mean to, but I just want to be really clear when I put these together. I also may include, I had a friend do a little bit of filming at our Yule celebration the other night, and I might include a little bit of that. I'm not sure if I will or not, but I'll talk about it for sure. Anyway, as I said, our personal celebration, my husband and I, we begin celebrating, and it's not just preparing for Christmas like a lot of people are, but we really begin our celebration in early December, because that is our local group when we celebrate Yule. And throughout the month of December, there are Yule celebrations going on all over the area, so a lot of groups will be getting together for that. And that always includes a feast. For 20-some years, I've been going, I've never missed a Yule celebration, and this is with my historical friends, and always includes a feast, which I very often in the kitchen. I'm very often been either the head cook on the feast or on the cooking staff of the feast, as I was this year, which is really fun for me to do. That's really interesting. My husband is as well. But it's always a big feast. This year had a theme of medieval Russia theme, and so there were dishes to that taste. There was dancing. There was a visit from Father Christmas, which there always is, and usually there's a visit from Krampus as well. Krampus did not show up this year, but he did last year in all his glory. So it sort of depends year to year. Anyway, and that goes on. Excuse me. My children live. Two of my children live here in California, and the third lives in Phoenix, which is not terribly far away. And but they have other families as well. their spouses and their fiancés' families. So they have extended families. So our Christmas time, we might have 2-3 Christmases during the end of the month and going into the beginning of January, depending on everybody's schedule for the year. And we always have traditional Christmas Eve with my oldest daughter at her house. She has an open house. We always have that. We always have a Christmas Day dinner here at my house for whoever's around. And then we have additional, at least one other one when we can get the other daughters here or there or wherever we are. We sometimes travel for that, and we celebrate as an entire family at least one time. Okay. For that purpose, we do have a tree. We always have a tree. Now, it used to be elaborate, of course, Christmas decorations. Joe and I are now very simple for a lot of reasons, but we're more our personal preference is Yule. We have the tree because we love the tree, and that is very traditional thing to do, bring a live tree into the home for Christmas, a freshly cut tree, and we always have it lit. And I'm going to do a little video and show you how we decorate our tree. We have in the last couple of years. I'll talk about that. We always have to appease. These are things that we just always do. We always have stockings. My children would die if there were no stockings. I mean, that's just their thing. We always have stockings, which is Christmas. You see, it's all blending in together. We always have gifts. We exchange gifts, but we tend to try to emphasize homemade things as much as possible, and that's a relief to me since I don't have any money. But my children, were raised that way. They have really wonderful memories of as little girls, young girls, that we every year at least put one all-nighter together where we would stay up all night working on the things, trying to get things finished up in time to wrap them for Christmas, and watched a series of every one of our favorite Christmas movies that we had, including, of course, Christmas Carol, So Wonderful Life, whatever, White Christmas, whatever. We had a series of Christmas Story. These had to be played, they had to be watched. We did that every year. That was a very big tradition. And our other tradition, one of our biggest traditions in our family, is cookies, which sounds so silly. Excuse me, but it's remained. If we did not have cookies, my family would break apart into a million bits. I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, we have some traditional cookies that we make, that were my grandmother's recipes and I've passed down. And this year, my middle daughter even made Graham's recipe. She was so excited because she was able to make Graham's recipe healthier by substituting coconut oil for the shortening and almond milk for the milk, and I don't know what else she did. Oh, I don't know what she did with the butter. I can't even imagine. But she was very excited because she made Graham's recipe healthy, and I'm like, well, my husband said, that's wonderful, I'm glad it's delicious, but that's not Graham's recipe, which is really, we're kind of traditionally, what did you do to Graham's recipe? But I think Graham would be happy that she's making the cookies, because it's really the cookies, it's really the sharing of that sweet goodness that we all seem to like at Christmas time. So we always have some cookies. All the girls make something, and some of the boys, and we put them together and share them. And that's always a big part of it. It's these little simple things that are the biggest thing to us, that we hold on to. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to put out this video, because we need to do the same thing with Yule. And I think a lot of people are missing that. And I think a lot of people that's why they're looking for something to do. What should I do? What should I do to celebrate Yule? It's because they don't have those traditions. So we always make some traditions. My husband and I have some things that we always do. And we every Yule is going to be a little different. But we always do certain things. because it feels good. Because it feels good to have something you can count on. It's a way of putting yourself into the tradition, right? We have a funny thing going on in here. I just want to say, because my house is a refrigerator. It was in the, I don't know how cold it was, in the 50s yesterday it only went up into the 50s, and high 50s in the day and low 50s at night, which I know you're laughing at that, but out here in California, that we'd about freeze to death. Our houses are so cold. We don't have insulation and we don't have heat. In our house, we don't have heat other than our fireplace, and we're on a concrete slab here, and it just is like a refrigerator. So I get up in the morning and have tea by the fire, and we have the garage closed and everything, trying to warm up the house. And in the meantime, when the sun comes out, we have the windows up and trying to let that warm air into the house to help. So it's like I'm sitting here bundled up, and my feet are really freezing cold from the floor, and I've got a breeze coming in the window and blowing the door because I'm trying to warm up the house. Anyway, sorry I got off track a minute. Excuse me, to take a sip of my tea. Talking about making traditions and investing in the tradition. It's a way of making that, it's one way of making that Sabbath personal to you. And that's a really important thing to do. It's not important what your tradition is, but I think it's important that you develop some, because that's why people are so nostalgic. You know, people are so nostalgic about Thanksgiving and the traditional dishes that they made in their aunt's broccoli casserole, or the green beans, or the sweet potatoes, or whatever it is. You get very nostalgic, and you just feel, and it fills up a place in your heart, right? Christmas traditions, whatever you hold on to from your childhood, maybe you've abandoned a lot of them, but you know what I mean. Certain things just fill up a place in your heart, like my grandmother's cookies, or my, or we're hanging up the stockings, you know, or just whatever it is, simply a little tradition like that. It makes it personal. It makes you a part. It makes it a part of you, and that's the way you connect with the wheel of the year, by putting yourself in that wheel, walking that wheel, and feeling like you're really, really a part. It's a part of you, part of your life, part of your thing, right? So making some Yule traditions are just as important, and that's what my husband and I are doing. We've been doing for a lot of years here now. One thing is, we always have a wreath on the door. It is always a green wreath. It's a simple thing. We usually buy it at Trader Joe's. Sometimes they buy it at the tree lot, but mostly Trader Joe's. They have beautiful ones this time of year. And, we had to have it this year. And money's tight. We don't have any money. But we had to have it because it's a part of our tradition. We leave it on our door if we can. We leave it on our door to Imbolc. If it gets too dry, we'll take it down. But we keep it into Imbolc, where we burn it. And that's just a really important part. And then the ash from that wreath are added to the other ash, which we use as part of our perimeter protection around our property. It's just something we could not have Yule without that wreath. We always have a live tree. Well, the tree, of course, is not live. The tree is cut, but it's always a fresh tree that we can smell. We use a small tabletop tree now. It's not that small. It's about 4 feet tall or something. But not a little teeny one, but rather than having a full 8-foot tree or 9-foot tree or whatever. 8-foot tree, I guess we used. But it's live. It's tradition. It's tradition that we hang bells on the tree so we can hear when the cats are eating the branches. It's traditional. It's just tradition. Okay. Now we don't use our ornaments anymore. The traditional ornaments usually that we did for years and years, which my children get sort of upset about, but because we decorate it more for Yule. But in the past several years, they've been using citrus to decorate, which I will show you. We'll talk about that in a minute. We always have a Yule log, and we save a piece of the Yule log. Where the bag says Yule log, this has a piece of last year's Yule log. And we're going to show you that too. We're going to make the Yule log. It's just a real simple thing. We do it very simple. You can do it as elaborate as you can, but we're not elaborate because we're going to actually burn this Yule log. But anyway, We light this fire when we burn it on Yule, on the solstice. We will, not on Christmas, on the solstice, we will use a piece of this Yule log to start the fire. And then after the fire goes out, we will take a new piece of that this year's burned log, and save that, put it in a bag, put it in the cupboard, and next year we'll get that up to start. That's a tradition we never fail. We also, this year, and we have done this a little bit in the past, but we've never really made a tradition. We're trying to make it a tradition beginning with this year. It means a lot to us. Is we're going to do a welcoming the light ceremony, because remember, the solstice marks the longest night, right? It's the longest night. And after the solstice is over, the light is going to begin to return. It's still the dark time of the year. It's very dark. Now it's been dark, getting increasingly dark since Maybon. It's been getting increasingly dark. This is the darkest time, and it's still dark, decreasingly dark, coming up to Ostara. But up until then, it's still going to have more dark than light, right? So but we're welcoming that light. We know the light is coming, and it means, and I'm going to do a whole little segment on that. That's going to be my final segment for this Yule series, because what that means personally and spiritually to us, due to our circumstances, our unique circumstances to us this year. It means a lot to us, but we're going to, and what I mean by welcoming the light is we're going to try not to use any lights until it is dark. Now we might have to, and if we have to use dark lights, we're going to see, depending on what we're doing, we will extinguish them before the darkest time. But you can tell the time of the solstice, what the time is locally. You can put that in the internet, and you can find it. But anyway, it doesn't really matter the exact time. It just matters that you want to try to get as in total darkness as you possibly can. Experience that total darkness. Speak your intention then at that time. What are we looking for? What are we going to be looking for? And I'm going to tell you in my video. Personally, I'm not going to show you the video of this, but I'm going to tell you, so it's not a secret. So you have an idea. But anyway, whatever your personal intention is, what is your intention? Hope. What is your hope in that light? When that light comes into your life, what is that going to represent? And then we will take the candle, and we will light the candle, and then we will spread the light throughout the house. It's not unlike how they welcome the light during candlelight service in a Christian church on Christmas Eve. Of course, they're welcoming the light of Christ. We're welcoming a little different kind of light. We're welcoming light, but but it's a little more than that. It's a little more significant. Okay. So I'm just going to break this right now for in case editing purposes, and I'll be back.